The Retrievers has some absolutely adorable dogs in it, but the narrative is stupid and the characters are exceptionally selfish. This was released in 2001. It's directed by Paul Schneider. It's written by Lowry Ketron, and we have a cast including Robert Hayes, Mel Harris, Betty White's in it. She's in it a reasonable amount. I was quite happy about that. And it's about a family who move house and they find this dog, and the dog's pregnant and the dog has puppies. And what happens after that is boring, first of all. There's just a lot of running around or driving around and nothing actually happens for pretty much the bulk of the film. But the dogs are in a lot, which I really appreciate. But what happens after that is so ridiculous and so unbelievably selfish that I absolutely hated the characters. And, well, I hated the story, but there's not much of a story to it. But I guess it's kind of a spoiler. This all happens certainly in the second half, maybe as early as the first third. I don't want to spoil too much, but I will in a moment give a spoiler warning and explain what I mean. But I will sum up first of all by saying the dogs are adorable. They're absolutely gorgeous. Great to see Betty White in this. But the story is ridiculous. There's not much of a story to it, but what we get is ridiculous. And the characters are stupid. The children are fine. I have nothing against the children. They're just being children. And the performances are fine across the board. But the adults, the parents, are so idiotic. They're just not good parents. They're not good people. And that meant that I really did not care about their story. So I kind of hated it. But the dogs are in it pretty much throughout, which I loved. So it's not a good film. I don't recommend it. But if you're interested in any of the cast, then proceed with caution. And that's all I can really say about it. I will now give a spoiler warning, though, and go into more detail. Well, I guess I can sum up, first of all, as well, by adding the camera work's fine, the performances are fine, we have a range of locations to keep things fresh and interesting. I use the word interesting loosely. But the story and the characters are ridiculous. And I will now explain what I mean by that. So, spoiler warning for what happens. Once the dog has the puppies grow up and they get to quite a big size. They definitely get to be quite a big size. I don't know exactly how old they are in real life, but they're quite big puppies by this point, and they give the puppies away. And soon after, they realise, oh, we miss the puppies. So let's just go and ask all of these people to give us the dogs back. How ridiculously selfish. Also unrealistic. And then we spend the rest of the film just driving around to all of these places to try and get the puppies back. And it's ridiculous. And also a terrible message for children, because you're basically telling children, once you give something away, you have the right to take it back. And you most certainly do not, particularly when it comes to pets. Also, that's bad pet parenting. You don't go and continuously uproot pets. It would have been distressing enough for the puppies to go to their new homes. Obviously, that's necessary for them to live out a happy life in their forever homes. But to then go and bring them back again. Granted, you're taking them back to the place where they grew up and their mother's there, but that's still a lot of upheaval for purely selfish reasons. And unless those puppies were actually in serious danger, and I will be honest, some of the puppies were in danger, and I won't go into that, I won't give away too much more, but you can't just go up to somebody and say, okay, you've formed a bond with this puppy, the dog is rightfully yours, but we're selfish bleep words, and we want the animals back. And I can't believe anybody ever thought this was a good idea for a story. Maybe, and this is me spoiling the ending to some extent, maybe if they tried to get the dogs back and then realised, actually, we can't do this, they're not rightfully ours, and the dogs are settled in their new homes, that would have been a good message. It would have seemed like a really pointless narrative, but I could understand that. But that's not the direction they took, and it's an absolutely appalling story with some of the worst written, incredibly selfish, insufferable characters ever. I am speaking strictly about the adults. Again, the children are just being children. They're too young necessarily to realise that you can't go and ask for your pet back once you've given it to its forever home. So, a stupid story, horrendously executed. Well, I guess it's well executed in the sense that this is the story they wanted to tell, but it's a terrible experience, and the adults are just ridiculous. But hey, we have Betty White and some adorable dogs, so it's not all horrendous, but without question, unless, for example, you're a Betty White fan and you want to watch this, or you're a fan of anybody else in the cast, I'd say The Retrievers is not only a bad film, but it's a dangerous film. To give children that expectation that they can give their dog away, you know, it's perfectly normal for a dog or any animal to have puppies or kittens or whatever, and then to sell them on to their forever homes. And then for those children watching this to then think, oh, well, all I need to do is go and get it back because it's still mine. That's a really dangerous, damaging, emotionally damaging message. If you then tell the child, no, everything you believed about these puppies is untrue. It's irresponsible. The Retrievers is a terrible film, and without question, I do not recommend it.